It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Yesterday of a man in the soda and candy business actually questioning Asa Hutchinson about his tax increases. It was at an event in Western Arkansas, and we have the video for you right now. Joe, whenever you're ready, play it, and let's get to it. Go ahead. The audio, hang on, before you start, the audio is a little difficult to hear. Matter of fact, I don't hear it right now at all, Joe. But the audio is a little difficult to hear, so we're going to have to kind of stop and go with it. But for our people, if you want to watch this video, it's much easier to understand, and it's up right now at Conduit, our Facebook.com/Conduit News, our YouTube channel, or ConduitNews.com. Listen.
$100 million without having any offsets for it all. Then another $50 million we lowered the income tax, so $150 million in cuts that we had to absorb. There's no offset.
Asa explaining a question, tough question.
Taking the exemption off those other taxes. Yes. The reason I say that is your tax increases on soda and candy went up 5%. Directed my income directly.
Stop. All right, so this gentleman here, I believe his name is Chuck. And he actually says that the tax increase on candy and soda directed a 5% reduction in his yearly income. Keep going. He's talking to Asa.
That took 4% out of my income. All right, so tell me your business. I do the soda and snack machine. And now your task force is looking at taking the exemptions off of the groceries and other things, including the exemption off the life insurance. All right, so that's because I like to no answers. I like to live.
All right, so the discussion continues here. I know it's tough to understand, but just
you don't seem to talk about the taxes you increased.
Stop. So you don't seem to talk about the taxes you've increased. Now, this is a gentleman. He's at it. It's a big event where Asa's there, and you don't seem to talk about the taxes that you increase. Now, watch what Asa does when he gets asked that question. So this man asks Asa, you don't talk about the taxes you've increased. We were just talking about them. And listen to what Governor Hutchinson does. Look at his body language here.
Who are you?
I came 2.5 hours away to meet you.
What's your name?
Shelly.
Shelly, good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Becky, good to meet you.
All right, so stop. So that...
Is this part of it?
No, hang on. Back up just a little bit. So then he asks this gentleman, "Are you part of it?" Let's see that again. And
Is this part of it?
Okay. So are you? So he's asking the gentleman who's asking him if he's part of the people that are filming him. So he's uncomfortable with people filming him. Now, one of the people that are there is wearing a Jan Morgan shirt. Okay. So he's asking this guy who's clearly knows that there are tax increases in the Hutchinson administration, as well as those income tax cuts. Again, income tax cuts are hard to get excited about when you've increased spending as much as he has. Okay, you've grown the size of government. Matter of fact, I understand we have the man who questioned Asa in Waldron. I think last night, Chuck Clifton. Chuck, you're on the phone. You're Conduit News Radio. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you could call in. I saw this video last night. I reached out to you. I wanted you to come on the program. Number one, because it is kind of difficult for our terrestrial radio audience to hear what exactly was going on. So you were at this event. It was in Waldron, correct? And after Asa spoke, you wanted to ask some questions because you're in the vending machine business.
That's correct, Paul. I went to Waldron because the governor was going to be there, and I thought he might take questions like the other candidates does after he speaks, but he didn't. So I just waited till it was over, and I just approached him and asked him about the increase on the soda and the candy tax. Of course, he never really answered my question.
When you say the soda and candy tax, I heard you in there, it went up 5%, so it decreased your business 5%. Tell us about that.
Yes. Before, I paid 4.75% tax on sodas and candy. That tax went from 4.75 to 9.75. So that directly affected my income. You can only raise prices so much before you have to absorb it. And if you raise them too much, people just don't buy it. So you have to find that medium as to what people will pay for an item versus how much you're going to have to absorb of that. And I ended up having to absorb some of that tax.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I will say this. You know, it was nice to see Governor Hutchinson engage with you, because he did engage, and he did try to answer your question. I think, you know, there was some spin there, and you talked about spending and that sort of thing. You know, because you were asking about that, and it kind of, there was a point in the conversation, if you listen to the whole thing, where, you know, he was kind of okay just agreeing to disagree. Did you get that interpretation? What was your thought of the overall conversation?
Yeah, he. Like you said, you know, you can disagree if you want to.
Yeah.
And in which I do, because he never would talk about any spending cuts. He kept, the only cut he even said they done, there was 1,000 fewer state jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't want to talk about any cuts to Medicaid or anything else. And my original question to him, Paul, I don't know if you can hear it on the video, was instead of raising taxes to pay for the military benefits, which I agree with. I'm a big supporter of our military. Both my sons are Marines.
Mm-hmm.
And but my question to him was instead of raising taxes to cover that, why didn't we cut something? And the only thing he would say, well, we cut 1,000 fewer state jobs. Well, I think there's a lot more stuff that can be cut before we start raising things.
Yeah.
And he just really didn't want to talk about any type of cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, of course, you got, and see, you were lumped into there. You know, there's a lot of military retirees actually that are upset that somebody like you, Chuck, and your business is now taking a hit so that they can have a tax break. And of course, military retirees also download things on the internet, so they're paying that tax too. They also buy candy and soda. So it's pretty frustrating. Now, there was one point. Now, I want you to answer this, Chuck, because the people filming you, one of them was wearing a Jan Morgan T-shirt, and at one point, Asa comes over, and after you start asking him tough questions, Asa turns to the camera and wants to know who these people are who are filming him. Obviously, he's probably anticipating, being on a program like this one. And then he asks you if you're part of it. Like, is this it's almost like he's accusing you of this being some sort of hit job. And that's what it came across to me. But then he did continue to engage with you for a time. So what were your thoughts when he turned to the people filming him and kind of, wanted to know what they were doing?
Yeah, I wasn't sure, because I went there with in mind to ask him about the candy tax because it affected me. I happened to knew one of the girls that was there, but just because I knew her does not mean we was together.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she could have been a neighbor. How would have he known?
Yeah.
And the other lady wearing the Jan Morgan T-shirt, I didn't even know. I'd never met her before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you said that, because they're gonna claim that this whole thing was like some sort of orchestrated thing. But if you're in the vending machine business and he's running for re-election, I mean, he should have to answer why your business has gotten a 5% cut, and he's responsible for it.
That's correct. I mean, he's the governor, so he should be able to answer my questions regardless, because that does affect me directly. And he, when he turned to them, I really didn't know what he was doing. And then when he came back and asked, he said, "Is this part of it?" That's why I said, "No, I came here to ask a question."
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably what he was trying to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, hey, Chuck, I appreciate you coming in, or you're calling in and talking about this with us. I really do. I appreciate you asking those questions, and I really hope that, if anything in this primary, hopefully people will realize that these things that they do, that they try to call and pass off as revenue neutral when it's not, or try to pass off as conservative, there are actually real-life consequences for real people who are trying to make a living out there. Would you agree?
Yes, there is. I'd like to want to add one thing here, Paul. The original sponsor of the military tax bill was Bob Ballinger. And when they threw the soda and candy tax in there to pay for that bill, Bob Ballinger did not even vote for his own bill.
Oh, really? I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
I talked to Bob Ballinger personally on the phone. and he said that he did not even vote for that bill, and he was one of the original sponsors of the bill.
Wow.
And the reason he said he wouldn't do it was because of the soda and the candy tax increase.
Wow. Hey, Chuck, I appreciate you being on the program, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Paul.
All righty. Okay, bye. Folks, we are got to go to break right now. We may play this video again.